Welcome to Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, thanks for watching. Well, we have an action-packed show today. What are millennials up to? The movement of medicinal marijuana in the state legislature. But first, reform, could it be coming to the state legislature? We'll do that and more after these words.
This is Pennsylvania Newsmakers, a fast-paced, unrehearsed weekly discussion with and about the leaders who shape your world. And now, here's your host, Terry Madonna.
Welcome back to the program. I'm going to get that right. Well, let's start out right away with Senator Rob Teplitz, the 15th Senatorial District, South Central Pennsylvania. I think I got that right, yep. Senator. All right, let's start out with a couple of the big issues. Redistricting reform. As you know, right now, for the legislature, it's done by a commission. For Congress, it's done by you all in the state legislature in the form of a bill. What are some of the problems? Every place I go when people come, it's all about redistricting. You pack all these Democrats into one district, Republicans into another, and as a result of that, there's no competition. You're shaking your head. Yeah. Am I got that about right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a process where elected officials are choosing their voters instead of the other way around. You know, the system that we're supposed to have is voters should be choosing their elected officials. Instead, it's an insider's game, and it's one that is designed to protect incumbents and to protect the party in charge.
Right.
And that's what accounts for the extremes in our state legislature and in Congress, because you don't have competitive elections.
All right, let's talk about Congress. The state legislature passes a bill with the boundary lines redrawn every 10 years. Mm-hmm. The governor signs it or veto. Mm-hmm. Now, in our state, the governors have signed them. Mm-hmm. I don't think one of them has been vetoed in modern history. So, what do you do about congressional redistricting? What would the Senator Teplitz idea be?
Well, I'm part of a redistricting work group, bipartisan group, Republicans, Democrats, House and Senate, and we have a number of different bills that we're trying to put together in a consensus bill, but essentially there would be a citizens commission that would represent a broad cross-section of the state, and they would use data and evidence and maps to draw both the congressional lines and the state legislative lines.
Okay. Zero meaning no chance, 10 meaning very likely to pass. You notice I always put you on the spot. What do you give it?
Look, I'm an optimist.
I know you're always
I'm an optimist. I think we have a chance because everyone has seen quite clearly the results of the current system, both in Congress and in the state. It's created gridlock at both levels. We need to fix that. The public deserves more. And all we're trying to do is take as much of the politics out of the system, give competitive elections, allow voters to make the decisions.
I tell you, as I said, I can't go anywhere where I don't have, I'm sure you get the same thing, the questions come up. All right, virtually unknown to most voters because there's been very little news about it. Now, there are some organizations, Pennsylvanians for a Modern Court and others that have been working on various aspects of judicial reform. Mm-hmm. Should we have merit selection, or maybe better put, an appointed system to pick appeals court judges, or should they continue to be elected? And that's been roiling around Pennsylvania politics for decades. This isn't a new issue. Right.
And there's legislation to do that. It hasn't come before me for a vote, so I haven't taken a firm position on it, but I'm certainly open to it. The idea that judges have to run for election, raise campaign money, can be somewhat unseemly. But at the same time, it's the campaign finance system that is the real underlying problem. I mean, if you're going to be corrupt, you're going to be a corrupt judge, or you're going to be a corrupt governor, or you're going to be a corrupt state senator. So, I think at a minimum we need to fix the campaign finance system, and we also shouldn't delude ourselves into believing that moving to an appointed system takes all of the politics out of it. I mean, there's still going to be politicians involved. So, I think we have to take a balanced, open-minded approach to it.
All right, we're going to run to a quick break. When we come back, I have another question on that score, but I also want to get into this business that a lot of voters are not aware of. Is there's going to be two ballot questions. I want to talk about one, meaning voters will get to vote, April 26th primary. Should we permit judges to retire at 75. That would be mandatory retirement as opposed to 70. Interesting question that the voters will get to decide on come April. And we'll see you after a few minutes of commercials and paying for the program.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry, the statewide voice of business, and by the Pennsylvania State Education Association and Partners for Public Education, bringing the power of a great education to our schools, our students, and our communities.
One.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Highway Information Association, the go-to source to learn about transportation projects and issues. Please visit pahighwayinfo.org. And by the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. Business in Pennsylvania is our business.
All right, welcome back with Senator Teplitz. We're talking about some reform issues. Redistricting for the state legislature done by a commission of 5, 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, and normally an appointee of the state Supreme Court. Should that change, or are you more comfortable with that?
Yes, it should change. We need to put it in the hands of the citizens, making decisions based on data and evidence and maps.
Okay. Now, should judges be permitted, or should we cap the retirement age at 75, or should it be 70? That's a question voters will get. Almost no news. There's nothing.
Yeah, I voted this session and last session to allow that to come to a voter referendum. I think there's merit to it. People are living longer, healthier longer, working longer.
70's the new 50.
There you go. It doesn't require judges to stay that long, and it doesn't require any voter to vote for a judge to stay that long. But it just allows those judges to put themselves up for retention and lets the voters decide.
Yeah, here's the one point. We've had all this controversy with the Supreme Court especially. One justice stepped down, in the face of this offensive email situation. He's gone. We have another judge who's on, has a suspended, he's been suspended, and he's going to have a trial. That's 2, and there are only 7. That might mitigate against the voters saying, well, maybe we don't want to do that. All things being even, it's hard to say 75, that's no big deal. But that may cause some, and I've not seen any polls. Go ahead, final comment on that.
Yeah, look, we don't limit ages for any other elected official. And being a judge, being a lawyer as I am, you do get better as you get older. So there is some value to being able to retain that wisdom. But certainly the issues on the court probably create a cloud over the issue.
Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, coming up, David Wenner from the Harrisburg Patriot News PennLive. Medical marijuana, it's coming up for a House vote, we think, or it's going to be on the floor. It passed the Senate. Medicinal marijuana, it's on the table in the legislature, and it'll be on our table after a few words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by Pennsylvania Credit Union Association. Pennsylvania Credit Unions, where people are worth more than money. To find a credit union that is right for you, check out ibelong.org. And by the Energy Association of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania's energy information source. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the Hospital and Health System Association of Pennsylvania, working towards a healthy Pennsylvania, and by the Pennsylvania Coal Alliance, representing companies involved in America's most affordable, reliable energy source. To learn more, visit pacoalalliance.com.
Well, David Wenner joins me. He's with PennLive and the Patriot News in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. David, you've been all over this medical marijuana. It passed the Senate 47-7. It's a bill that would legalize, the prescriptions for medicinal marijuana. When the bill passed the Senate, it was bipartisan. Let's start out with that. Who can prescribe medical marijuana under the bill that's now in the House that the House will take up in a couple of weeks?
Well, it would be doctors, although they would have to undergo special training, and they would have to be certified. And by the way, there's a long list of other people that would have to undergo training and be certified to play a role in this. Pharmacists,
sure.
Caregivers. But the main thing is that doctors who want to be able to provide this to their patients, they would undergo some training and they'd be able to do it.
Is that because of the nature of marijuana and its effects on people and how people might react and what it does and doesn't do? Because it's not been, obviously, more than 20 states now permit it, and all those states' laws are a little different. Is that fundamentally what's going on here, you think, with making people go back and do some training? Sure. I mean, there's great concern that it's used responsibly, and one of the problems is because of the fact that it's always been a Schedule I drug. Right. One of those drugs that the government says really doesn't have much benefit for anybody. There hasn't been all that much research in the United States, and so therefore, there's a concern that it be prescribed in a way and monitored in a way, so that it does people good. Right. And the Pennsylvania Medical Society has been on this program, and the doctors there have been expressing some concern. All right, now let's go over to the Senate, over to the House rather. The House has had some serious concerns about it. There's pushing 180, 190 amendments. There's no way they're going to do 180 or 190 amendments. It's scheduled for a vote. What are the big concerns that have been expressed over in the House of Representatives for legalizing medicinal marijuana? The number one concern is that it will wind up being so that the big concern is that medical marijuana will somehow be used for recreational use, and another huge concern is a gateway drug. Right. That this will wind up get in the hands of young people, and they'll wind up getting addicted to drugs. Hey, by the way, there is one important thing I want to point out. I mean, it's true. Dave Reed has said, Majority Leader of the House. Go ahead. Yeah, he has said it will be on the calendar, the week of March 14th. I think I know where you're heading. Yeah, I mean, the big thing is, though, will there be a vote? I mean, a lot of people seem to think there will be. So there could be movements to recommit, send back to a committee or postpone. Go ahead, finish. Yeah, I mean, who knows? But the fact of the matter is, you know how it works. I mean, the fact that yes, the Majority Leader has been very supportive of this, but the Speaker of the House, who controls whether something comes up for a vote, right? He has been against this. But recently though, I've read where he said, he's open. He seems to be signaling that he is open for a vote, and that he just wanted this to be done responsibly. I mean, some people disagree with that, but that seems to be what he said most recently. All right. Well, look, thanks for coming in. We'll have you back as this moves. Maybe when the House gets done, we'll see what happens. But I think if it came to a full vote, my sense is it might pass. You think so? I do think so. I mean, a lot of people have said this. This has the vote to pass. All right, thanks, Dave. Coming up, guess what we're going to do? We're going to look at millennials, lifestyle, financial concerns. We're going to get into that subject. It's pretty fascinating. And we'll do that after this break.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Medical Society. Inspired physicians committed to the good health of Pennsylvanians and the advancement of the practice of medicine. And by the Pennsylvania Healthcare Association, advancing quality, improving lives. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Business Council and by the Pennsylvania Business Council Education Foundation.
All right, what about those millennials? They're now the largest age cohort in the country. We're going to talk about their characteristics. We're going to talk about what kind of financial services they want. Joining me to do that is Patrick Conway. He's the president and CEO of the Pennsylvania Credit Union Association, and TJ Adkinson. He has a long title, PCUA Young Professional Leadership Council, and he's the branch manager at First FCU Mechanicsburg. That's a lot to get out, guys. But look, Patrick, welcome to the show again. All right, define millennials. Who are they?
Well, thanks, Terry. I got one sitting right next to me here with TJ. But generally, you know, young people that were born between the early 80s and the early 2000s.
Right. And we normally say, what, 18 to 29? That sort of works, I think.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to you, TJ. Let's talk about each generation has a set of characteristics. What are the characteristics? You're 25 years old.
I am, yes.
You're right in the middle. You're virtually in the middle of that generation.
Smack dab in the middle, absolutely.
Right.
We're very open-minded, and we like to be team-oriented. We're very tech-savvy, too. We're always on our phones. We're going to be talking to each other, do you? So, you know, but Generation Z is coming up right behind us, and they're even more tech-savvy. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. But millennials, of course, might not be as willing to sacrifice some of our personal life to further ourselves in our career. Some of us are, some of us aren't. But you find that it's a little bit different with the millennial generation.
Yeah, the other thing that I've also noticed in some of the studies that millennials, if something happens in a work situation, even though you're well paid, unlike other generations, you will quit. You will say, I'm going to move on. You know, you have a set of values and you're going to keep to those values. If you don't like something, you're going to move on. And I don't know, but you're right. You're not ideologically minded. You're not overly political. I mean, you want to be in community and civic engagement engagement programs. But you're also team-oriented. Talk a little bit about that. That's
Absolutely.
An important element.
Yeah, we love to become friends with our coworkers. We want to be involved in their day-to-day lives. We want to be a part of them. We spend most of our lives with them every single day. So the closeness of our teams within our work environment is very important to us.
That also means a little happy hour time, right?
It does.
There's nothing wrong with that. We've all done that before. All right, Patrick, let's turn to the financial services. One of the things that you hear about all the time as a college professor, I hear student debt, financial services, credit cards. You and I have chatted about that for some time. Go ahead, give us what do millennials want in financial services?
Well, I think millennials, you know, have told us that they'd like to know more about finances, and that's part of what the credit union movement is doing, is trying to educate younger professionals about financial education. And I think that, you know, they want a relationship with their financial institution. So by and large, a lot of bank customers feel like a number, and 58% of millennials feel that way. So having a relationship with your financial institution is very important to millennials, and that's really what credit unions are about.
Yeah, now I don't have my mobile phone here, but I'm going to put this little iPad up here. Now, you want to do your financial services online. Do I got that about right? Forget those nasty credit cards?
Yes. 3/4 of millennials want to be able to do their banking on that mobile device sitting in front of you. It's a requirement.
Yeah. Now, in the financial service area, they also want to develop a personal relationship. Something pretty interesting. A personal relationship with the people that they deal with.
Exactly. You know, we talked earlier, TJ talked about collaboration and how millennials like to work together as a part of a team, and credit unions are all about collaboration. And so, you know, we found the mission of credit unions aligns very well with the values of millennials.
Yeah. Hey, I skipped one thing that we were talking about earlier that I want to get to. There was a Time magazine piece, back to the characteristics, that the one thing one of the things you really value is flexibility in the work schedule. Forget the old 9 to 5 stuff, right?
Absolutely.
You want to go say something about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're more than willing to work from 7 in the morning till 10 at night. You know, like, we are mobile driven, so we can work from our phones, we can work from home, and that flexibility in that 9 to 5 schedule is important to us.
Yeah, this is sort of the wave of the future. I mean, more and more employers are looking at the way they operate and giving workers more flexibility. It also helps, I think, for young, not just for young families, but I'll use that as an example, young families, women who have to take off to, child rear, and that's all, this old, as I pointed out, 9 to 5 work situation has gone through and will continue to evolve.
Absolutely. Things have changed a lot, since I was TJ's age. I mean, the work environment has changed, the workplace has changed, more flexibility. And we found that, more flexibility can actually increase productivity. But even the setup of the workplace is different, without the sort of individual offices, we see more open spaces now, and millennials really, thrive in that sort of new atmosphere.
Now I'm going to get another little prop out here. You don't want this.
What is that?
I'm showing it up. It's a 5. Millennials, you cash and you don't get along, do you?
I don't even have a single dollar bill in my wallet right now. I only carry my debit card.
Yeah, that's why when I go out with my son, he never has any cash. He never has any cash. It's always, And so you won't have cash and you won't have credit cards, and you'll be on your mobile device to do everything.
That's right, and I pay things with my mobile device now as well. So.
Yeah. I just talked to my wife about doing that. I said we have to change all that. All right. Now you and I have chatted about the importance of all people, not just millennials, getting into finances, right?
Absolutely.
Understanding finances, understanding debt, understanding when they purchase something, what the credit implications are. That's also something that millennials need to focus on.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Absolutely. I think young professionals need to grasp financial education, and we all do. And we're starting with reality fairs with kids in high school through the credit unions that serve communities across the state. Getting in and showing kids, teaching them about managing debt, teaching them about, mortgages and things that they're going to encounter. But it's important, I think, to young professionals to understand that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Go ahead.
Millennials, we spend a lot of money, obviously, and managing that is a full-time job for us. So having a credit union nearby that can help us with that really does build that relationship and help us with the financial services.
All right, as financial institutions have to deal with the millennial generation coming along and the differences that we see, let me ask you that. Do you notice when younger folks come in to talk with you the difference in attitude, how they approach things? Is that evident from, let's say, people in other generations?
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say it's their attitude, but maybe their financial knowledge. They don't understand the financial services industry and how to get a loan or how to manage a credit card properly. So being able to sit down and talk with them face to face and teach them something is something I do every single day, and it really makes a difference in their lives. So helping other millennials is important to us, and they build that relationship.
Well, look, this has been a wonderful update. It's been a lot of fun, but it's also been, I think, a great learning experience as well. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you next week for another edition of Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, stay well.